Hello everyone and welcome back for another Heffy Doodle video. This is Cassie. Today we're going to be making a slimline slider pop-up, so let's talk about what we're using. We've got the Highland Honeys stamp and dies. I love all the little punny cute sentiments in this one. It's just darling, and we have our matching dies to go with it. We're also going to be using the alcohol marker friendly cardstock. As I said, this is going to be a slimline slider pop-up. I don't show that, but we are going to use that. And we're also going to be using the slimline envelope die. I have some already cut out and colored from a previous project, so we're going to use those along with a few others that I will show you. I have a piece of HUCKLEBERRY cardstock that I have cut down to be about the size of a slimline, and I'm going to splatter on the upper portion of that using some Picket Fences distress paint. I want to make this look a little bit like a night sky, so I'm going to splatter that all over the upper portion. I'm even going to bring in some silvery paint that I have to kind of give it a little bit of shimmer, and then I'm going to set that off to the side to dry. I do have a couple pieces of cardstock that are cut to 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and I'm going to glue these together. This is going to be the base for my card, and I want this to be nice and sturdy. It isn't like you don't have to do this, but I have found that it makes my cards, especially slimline like this, a little bit sturdier. So let's go ahead and stamp out our little Highland cow. He's so cute. That is on some alcohol marker friendly cardstock that is in the Heffy Doodle store. And we're going to go ahead and color him. So for his horns, we're starting with some E97. That's also going to be his face, his legs, and hooves. And then we're going to come in with a darker shade, and that's going to be the color that we use for his hair. So we've got some YR27. I'm also going to use that to add some shadowing to his horns and his face and his hooves and stuff. But we're just going to go ahead and start out by coloring all of his fur with this. And I love that that he looks like he's hairy. So we're going to add some texture with our other colors in a second. Now that I've put down that darker shade, we'll bring in that E97 again and just blend that out on his hooves and legs and his face. Our next color to add some texture is going to be some E39. And all I'm going to do is add a lot of flicking motions. This is going to give that illusion that he is hairy. And I'm leaving them pretty distinguished, honestly. So we'll add a lot of flicking here. I'm not going to blend it out too much. Not too much anyway. And then I'm going to come in with some E19. That's even darker. And I'm using the bullet nib of this one. This is an original Copic. And then I will come in and blend just a little, but not too much, because I really don't want to lose the look of the hair. And then when I'm done with that, we're going to stamp out the mountain. I forgot that I needed the mountain. That's why I have this big old piece of cardstock. But we're going to stamp out the mountain, and then we're going to color that in. I know this seems a little odd using a yellow, but we're going to just go with it. And honestly, my Copic is kind of drying out. This is the Y17. It needs to be refilled, but I end up liking the texture that it gives. It's super dry. So I'm going to set that off to the side once I'm done there and put that in the pile of refill. And then we're going to bring in that YR16 just for a little bit of shadowing and shading, and I'm not going to blend that out. I like how that looks. So we'll grab our matching dies that go with these two little images, and we'll tack that down with a little bit of washi tape. And then we're going to run this through our adorable mini die cutting machine by Heffy Doodle. I love this thing. And I love how these die cuts give this that fun white border around our images. All right, now we're going to start doing a little bit more die cutting. So our image is dry, or our background is dry, and this is that slimline slider pop-up die. Brand new. All these images and all these things are brand new to Heffy Doodle. And so we're going to run that through our die cutting machine over the top of the blue piece. I also, as you can see on that upper left-hand side, ran it through just the bottom portion with that orange cardstock. That orange cardstock is Pumpkin Patch. And then you'll see this piece here. This is going to actually be our slider mechanism. I ran that through the die cutting machine, just some white cardstock. You'll notice that that doesn't cut that top part, so I'm just going to grab my guillotine trimmer and trim that off. And then we'll get ready to attach that to our blue piece, our HUCKLEBERRY piece of cardstock. So I'm going to fold along those score lines that are on my Huckleberry piece of cardstock, and then the very bottom portion is where I'm going to attach that white piece of cardstock. And I recommend using a strong adhesive. So in this case, I'm going to use some liquid glue. I'm just going to put it on that bottom portion. I'm going to flip this over because this is actually the easiest way to attach this white piece. And I am going to leave the curved top coming out, if that makes sense. So I'll push that down, and then I can play around with that mechanism a little bit, make sure that that's actually going to work okay. And then we're going to start getting that pumpkin patch cardstock ready to attach. I'll grab out a little bit of Heffy tape. I'm going to tape this together because I do need to trim it down. I want it to be cut where that top fold is going to be. So I'll put that in my guillotine trimmer, trim that off, and then we'll take that tape off and we can start attaching those pieces to the outside of our Huckleberry piece. If you can't tell by now, we're building a little bit of a scene. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down to the outside, just making sure not to get any glue outside of that because I don't want that to hinder our mechanism. And then I'll fold along the score line of this piece and then go ahead and use that liquid glue to attach this down to the front center bottom. And then again, I'll play around with that mechanism just to make sure that everything's moving smoothly. And it is, so that is great. So I'm going to flip this over. I have found that when I'm making these slimline slider pop-ups that making channels for these is really a good idea. So I'm going to trim down 3 skinny pieces of white cardstock and glue those together. And I'm going to do that 3 times. So I'm not making it too thick, but I'm definitely giving plenty of room for our slider to be able to slide and still have channels. So now that I've got all of those assembled, we're going to go ahead and attach these to the back all along that outside perimeter, obviously avoiding the top. And then by doing this, it just gives the slider a really great channel to be able to move in, and gives it a little bit of space as well. So now that all those are attached, I can put some liquid glue on that. I'm going to attach the little top tab to start, and then you could always use the Interactively Yours stamp set to put pull on there if you wanted. I don't do that this time, but I'm going to bring in that base that I made earlier, and we're going to use liquid glue all along those channels, obviously sticking just to the channels, and then we'll leave that face up like that, those channels face up, and we'll take our base and just attach it this way. It's the easiest way to do it, and by using liquid glue, that will give me a little bit of wiggle room just in case it isn't straight, but this time it worked out. All right, now we're going to start attaching all of our pieces for our scene, and to do so, and before you do this, keep in mind that you want to make sure that all the places that it bends, you're not interrupting that. You're not sticking glue in areas that would need, where it's an open area where you need it to move. So I'm just sticking a little bit of glue on the mountains, avoiding the right and left hand side, and I'll check it each time I attach something just to make sure that I didn't attach it where it would cover and make it difficult for it to open, or close it for that matter. So I'll attach a couple of little trees. I just love how this little set has so many cute little elements to it, such fun elements, and it's this cute Scottish, how many times can a person say cute, right? Scottish set, and it's darling. There's also a couple of Loch Ness monsters in there. We have the thistle, which, did you know that the thistle is the national flower of Scotland? Well, now you know. So we're going to attach down our little Highland cows. They're so cute. And then we're also going to take some of the little grass pieces and attach those down. I just love this little scene that we're building. I do later on, you'll see it in the pictures afterwards, I don't do it on camera, but I do add a little bit of shadowing with a Copic marker underneath our Highland cows. But I'm going to attach down another tree, avoiding the top of the tree, so that way when this bends, it doesn't interrupt the mechanism and everything works fine. All right, so here I'm going to open it up, and we're going to stamp a sentiment on the inside. And this sentiment, if you haven't seen it, will crack you up. It says, "I hope this'll make you happy." And it fits perfectly inside the slider like it was meant to be. And so now then I'll just glue down our little thistle to the inside. And by making the 3 cardstock stack for our channels, that gives plenty of room and nothing gets caught. I'm going to stamp one more sentiment on the outside that says Muchas Gracias. And then I do stamp and color. It's supposed to be a Scottish flag, but I actually colored it like the flag of Alabama. So the state of Alabama has a white flag with a big red X. There you go. The more you know, right? And the last thing we want to do is make an envelope. I figured if we are going to be making a Slimline card, let's make an envelope with the brand new Slimline envelope die. It's a number 10. And so I cut out 2 side pieces. You got your main piece, you have your bottom piece, and then you have 2 die cuts where you can decide what you want your top to look like. So I chose this one scalloped top, and now I'm going to use liquid glue again. Again, I suggest you use a glue that is going to, stand the test of time, sort of. I haven't had a lot of luck with like a tape runner, and sometimes not even like the score tape and stuff works that well for me. So I highly recommend using a very strong adhesive. The last thing you want is for your envelope to fall apart in the mail. So I'm just using that liquid glue. It's nice and strong, dries pretty quickly, and I'm making sure that I rub hard so that all those parts where there is glue, that it's attached very nicely. And then we'll attach down our bottom part to our envelope, and then we'll attach our top part to our envelope. And then we're going to close it up. So now you'll put your 2 flaps together, your 2 side flaps, and you're going to glue those. But you wanted to make sure that you glued everything to the outside before you attach your side pieces together. So now you can fold that up. I'm going to glue there, and I'm also going to glue on the very edge of this piece so that when it closes together, that's 2 bits of glue, or 2 lines of glue. And then I'll really rub and push those together. And then we'll do our bottom flap. Of course, you're going to leave your top flap open. That will get closed when you get your card all in there and ready to go. So here you can see how beautifully this Slimline Slider pop-up card fits into our envelope. And then you can close it up like so. And ta-da, you have a very nice envelope that holds our fun card. And here, check it out, popping open. How fun and cool is that, right? All right, so if you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.